Hello, gamers from around the world. This is Boxenberger, the video game enthusiast from Germany, and I would like to welcome you to a very special episode of the world of gaming. It's Showcase Day, Dutch. We
It
just
is.
had,
It is indeed.
yeah, it's exciting times, man. We just had the Xbox Showcase and the Outer Worlds 2 and Grounded 2 Direct, and
Yeah.
for those who do listen after the fact, we are going live right immediately after the thing ended. Literally finished like 2 minutes ago. So I'm excited to talk about everything, of course, with you and our awesome community, Dutch. I know there are a lot of rivaling programs around at the moment, so we do appreciate everyone who tunes in today here live with us, but of course, also a big shout out to everyone who will listen or does listen after the fact, either here on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, wherever you're listening. Happy Showcase Day. And Dutch, I think we have plenty to talk about here today. You have been live streaming the entire thing, right? With a reaction.
Yes, I have. Yep, I've been live streamed the entire thing from just before it started all the way through to now.
Sweet.
So,
Sweet.
Indeed. We've got plenty to talk about.
Indeed.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
The good, the bad, the ugly. And there's everything in there. There's bad things to talk about. There's good things. There's very exciting things to talk about. So, Dutch, this is a special episode, so we don't follow the regular programming where we usually open up the show by talking what games we've played. We did that last Thursday. We're going to do that next Thursday. I just want to say one thing up front, because we have been doing these post-reaction shows after showcases for many years now.
Yeah.
And one thing up front, we haven't had that to everyone who listens, either after the fact or now live. We both, you, Dutch, and I, we didn't have the chance to look through the internet. And sometimes, almost every time, a lot of additional infos are getting dropped right after the show. The respective social media teams put out additional infos. There are interviews posted left and right, and we didn't have the chance to look through those. So we need the help of the community, because sometimes we have only watched the show. We took notes. We know what was announced in the show, but a lot of people usually come around after the podcast and tell us, oh, you said this, but they posted that, and we don't know that. So doing a podcast right after a showcase means sometimes you are not in the full picture that might be already out in the internet. So if we say something and talk about something that needs additional clarification, or we misunderstood during the podcast and is explained better in, I don't know, social media posts or blog posts or whatever right after the fact, do let us know. But don't be mad at us. We try to do our best. We only watch the show just like everyone else. But usually when you listen now to a podcast, you have the chance to scroll through Twitter or Facebook or Instagram and get all these additional infos that we do not have yet. So apologies for that up front. But Dutch, let's get right into it. I'm gonna put on not gameplay today, but I'm trying to put on the Xbox showcase.
That's exactly what I've got on already.
All right. All right. So before we go through all the games, right, and discuss game by game what has been announced, Dutch, some general thoughts. What did you think about the show?
Probably the weakest show for the last 3 or 4 shows.
How so?
That was my generalized overview of the show itself. Probably one of their weakest for the last 3 or 4 shows.
I probably would agree. It's not that it was a bad show. It's
very hard to live up to the previous 2.
Absolutely. They've set the bar really high with the last couple of years, especially last year's showcase was just absolutely phenomenal. And I think I was honestly a little surprised by the lack of first-party games in that showcase. I mean, there have been a few in there, but like when we did our prediction show, and I have the notes I took during our prediction show right here, right? We went through games like Fable, Contraband, Blade, Perfect Dark, Gears E-Day, State of Decay, Forza Horizon 6, Everwild, Elder Scrolls, Machine Games, ZeniMax Online, and all that good stuff. And nothing has been in there. And it's not like, again, like I thought it was a bad show per se. But when you tune into an Xbox showcase, and of course with them having set the bar really high over the last years, and especially last year's podcast, and having none of them in there, it would be okay to not have Gears in there, but I don't know, show Perfect Dark or something like that. It would be okay to not have Forza Horizon in there, but show us, I don't know, Fable or Blade or Everwild or something. So yeah, I'm also a little mixed there. In terms of that, I mean, there were still plenty of great games in there. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, the lack of first party was definitely something that stood out. What I also and we just got raided here in our stream from the Xbox tester.
Yep.
Appreciate that, guys. Appreciate that. And welcome to the world of gaming.
Shout out to Maurice.
Yeah, absolutely. He's awesome. Awesome, man. Shout out to Maurice. And thanks for joining us here on the world of gaming. So Dutch, before we get and talk about through all the games, I want to also highlight a few very positive things that happened.
Or did you also notice, I want to just briefly touch on this before, because this was a post-show thing, not so much in-show unless you had a very keen eye. But Silksong apparently launching this year.
Yeah. We'll get to that. We get to that. I have that as a very big highlight here in my notes, man.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm excited for that. Play Anywhere was heavily advertised and heavily, in previous years they've really focused on Game Pass. Like every game that we show today is gonna be a day one game, Game Pass game, and so on. We had that over the last years. And this year's motto, so to say, was Play Anywhere. What are your thoughts on that, man?
I mean, there's one thing as well that's kind of doing the rounds at the moment, but the Xbox app on PC, people are starting to see their entire Xbox library on there now.
Yes, true.
Which is, if true, going to be a game changer.
It most certainly is. I mean, they talked about that during their Asus Rock Alley segment a little, that you will be able to stream all the console games that you have to that thing. So it makes kind of sense that it pops up in the PC Xbox app,
Yep.
Doesn't mean that you will be able to play everything natively, but at least you can directly stream it.
Yep.
it's
at least have
definitely
access to your entire library
access to the
in a way.
in a way, and it's definitely a big step towards this unification of consoles and PC, and for those two ecosystems to not be like a separate thing, you know. I mean, Play Anywhere has been there for a while now. I think, if I remember correctly, Quantum Break was the first one. So that
Yeah.
was, I don't know, 2015, 16. But as of late, Xbox has been with their advertisement, this is an Xbox, and so on, heavily advertising this. Okay, play your games really everywhere you like, and not having to buy them twice. I really appreciate that. I mean, we're still far away from that being the norm. Yeah. Even with them saying, well, we have more than 1,000 Play Anywhere titles now. Realistically speaking, only the Game Pass games so far, with minor um, uh, examples that are not, but mostly the Game Pass games are Play Anywhere, which I really appreciate. Everyone knows I'm a big fan of my Aces Rock Alley, and being able to go back and forth in between the games I'm playing, Expedition 33, for instance, going back and forth, or Avowed, or whatnot, South of Midnight, is fantastic. And they really seem to touch on that more heavily, especially with third-party developers, because basically everything that they've shown at today's showcase is Play Anywhere. Not everything was Game Pass, but everything was Play Anywhere. So that's a really good thing. That's a really good thing, and it tells you the direction where they are going. And I've said that before on the podcast, that I would truly be surprised if the next gen Xbox isn't mandating that Play Anywhere. And maybe it's not even necessary to mandate that, because the next console is gonna have the Xbox PC thing on it. And yeah, so any thoughts of yours on that, man?
Yeah, I mean, straight away I seen the new ROG Ally, and it's two versions, the two Xbox versions, the white and the black. Of course, they've got the ROG Ally, the lower version, and then the
You want to
extreme
dive
version.
straight into the Rock
Oh,
Alley?
absolutely, because it's mainly about the Play Anywhere segment. So the handheld is very much part of that, and it does look great. I'll give it that. I liked the look of the UI that they're going for on the ROG Ally for Xbox, where it very much looks like the Xbox PC marketplace, but with a bit of the console overlay. So it looks very interesting. But I automatically thought of you and thought, which one's box you're going to get? Is he going to get the low one?
Do you even need to ask? Do you even need to ask?
Extreme, aren't you?
Of course, of course. Man, listen. Since you jumped right into the Rock Alley, like you said, two versions have been announced: the Rock Xbox Alley and the Rock Xbox Alley X. The X being the extremely powerful one with 24 gigs of RAM. The other one comes with 16. The low key version comes with 512 gigs of SD memory. The X has a terabyte, and it features the Z2 Extreme with an NPU based on RDNA 3, and it has haptic sticks with haptic triggers. Yeah. Not sticks, triggers. Which is fantastic, man. I can't wait. We talked about this many times. I really do enjoy my Aces Rock Alley. But I think besides the hardware, we haven't really seen the hardware in action. Of course, we need to see how it actually performs. I think the highlight is what you just mentioned, is the overlay.
Yeah.
But during the showcase, I was reading a couple of articles in parallel that have went online, and from what I understand, man, it's not just an overlay. It's a little more than that, because Xbox is deactivating a lot of the Windows shit in the background when you have
Good.
that open, which is very
Good.
good, which is exactly what we need. Because we've seen the Steam OS being significantly more performant than Windows.
Yeah.
Because Windows has all that bloated stuff in the background, yeah. Um,
Yeah.
and the Windows handhelds to date, the Lenovo's and the Ellie and so on, they do have full-fledged Windows running in the background, taking away a lot of
Do you
resources.
think, and I'm going to just go out on a limb here, do you think ROG are not doing ROG Ally 2 because they've now done the ROG Ally with the Xbox?
I don't think so. I think I've
The reason I
seen.
say that is if they've made this universal operating system now that works better than the bloated Windows version, what need would ROG have themselves to create another secondary, should we say third device? Because they've got the base Xbox ROG Ally, the high-end Xbox ROG Ally. Would there be a need for them to do their own version?
I think they already confirmed that they are not doing that. I think
Good.
I've seen a post from Asus Global
It wouldn't make much sense.
that it's not called the LE2, but it's called the ROG Xbox LE or something like that along those lines. Maybe someone in the chat has the chance to better check that, but I've seen something like that from the
Yeah.
official account. So no, there is no
thought
need.
so.
Yeah, there is no need for them to do something else. But yeah, man, them actually shutting stuff, Windows shit in the background down is actually a really promising thing. And then they've implemented, of course, all the other storefronts. You can then from this overlay launch, of course, everything from other launchers, from Epic, from Steam, and so on, which is great, man, which is fantastic. So I think we need to see more, of course. But the little we've seen actually has me excited. And I need an update for my alley anyway. So
What the price tag's going to be?
pardon?
What do you think the price tag's going to be?
That's a very good question. Very good question. This thing ain't going to be cheap.
No.
I mean, the original alley already launched at 700 euros. The extreme version, there was the base version. I can't remember. The base version was, I think, something around 500 or 550 or something.
Mhm.
And the alley with the Z1 Extreme launched 3 years ago at 700. So I'm thinking that's at least going to be 800 euros, maybe even 900. Yeah, for the extreme version. The base version will be at around 600, 650 maybe. And the LEX, I'm going with 800. Yeah. Which is a steep price to ask, man. It's no doubt. No doubt. What do you think? Where's the price going to be?
Yeah, I'm going to say 700 to 800 again for the extreme and 500 for the non-extreme.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be a little bit more expensive than the launch price of the original Alley. So that's why.
You say that, but when was the Alley launched again?
I think it was 3 years ago. Was it 2 years ago?
I think it'll be maybe it's the 800 mark then.
Yeah. With
Or is that
inflation and everything going up anyway, I think we are more talking about the price point at around 800, which is a significant ask for people. Would you be interested in that? Because I know you're not 100% convinced like me. Yeah, you've always said you're going to wait for the native Xbox handheld.
Well, that's clearly not happening for a while now because that's been shelved.
Yeah, and with the new overlay being what it is, that you can launch everything from Steam to Xbox to actually console games, even through if it's only through streaming, and you can have access to all your entire library. Did it pique your interest, man?
Yes.
I'm going.
Yeah.
I like to hear that, man. I need
you as my day one purchase. It's probably not a day one purchase because, again, it's $800. Well, at least will likely be in the region of $800, which is quite a significant outlay. And especially when it drops, which will be like winter. It's not really the best time. Of course, you don't really spend on yourself much in the winter, and you generally spend on family. So so yeah, it's probably going to be some point next year. I'll pick one up. And of course, with the Switch 2, I've got a handheld.
Hey, come on, it's a very different kind of thing.
It is
being able to play everything on the LE.
The good thing is, as I mentioned, of course, for now, I have a PC, I have an Xbox, I have a PlayStation. I'm not going anywhere distance traveling at the minute in terms of like big holidays or anything. So I'm not in a mega rush to have the ROG Xbox Ally, but it's definitely piqued my interest with that new UI. Having your library, I did say one of the key things for me was being able to take your library anywhere. If they've managed to sort that out to an extent, so you can have your entire library anywhere, whether that be natively or via the cloud or a mixture of both, then I don't think there's a need to wait for the Xbox's own handheld.
Yeah. Especially since we, like you said, know that this is not going to happen for a while. Jez Corden has reported that 2-3 weeks ago that it has been sidelined, that they are fully focusing on the actual next gen console, and for now focus on the partnership with Asus. And then absolutely, it makes sense. So I was pleasantly surprised by the new overlay. Need to see more, of course, but I liked what I've seen. I truly did. Of course, battery life is going to be an interesting thing there. So yeah, the original LE had about an hour of battery life. I would assume that they will.
I mean, the Nintendo Switch 2 isn't far behind it, by the way. Nintendo Switch 2's battery life is maybe about 3 hours. Maybe.
Yeah, 3 hours. I think that's fair runtime for a handheld. Especially with good power banks that you can use and so on. But an hour is really
bad.
Really bad. So I would be good with everything above 2 hours.
Keep it plugged in.
Yeah, I would be good with everything above 2 hours. Yeah. Okay, Dutch. They also teased Silksong during that handheld presentation.
They did, repeatedly showed Silksong.
And they said
it's going to be there. Because then at least that community can shut the fuck up.
Hey, I'm part of that community, so...
You're not as bad as the Silksong community on Reddit, okay? That community is ridiculous. I mentioned Silksong in my Community Indie Showcase last year, and they hunted me down for weeks, if not months, afterwards, asking for Silksong information.
Yeah. Well, it is a highly anticipated game, and rightfully so.
I've never experienced anything like it for an indie game in my life.
Yeah. That's true. That's very true. And they said it will be there when the LE comes out. So they didn't mention a release date. I was actually a little bit surprised about that. That tells me that there is going to be, probably hosted by Asus, a dedicated event for that thing. Asus usually.
Gamescom's always around the corner as well.
Do you think that it's a Gamescom announcement?
Yeah,
I think Asus.
it's not going to be.
It's
It's not going to be Game of the Year awards because that's too late.
Yeah.
And Xbox's next event is Gamescom, and then it's Tokyo Game Show. I can see them being present at both, but I think Silksong will be at Gamescom because there will be a playable demo at Gamescom.
With Silksong, I agree. I do think though that Asus will going to have an own stream or something like that in the next couple of weeks, where they fully show off the two LEs properly. If that wouldn't be the case, they would have announced the release date today. They would have said, I don't know, November this year or something, and they just mentioned, well, this is gonna be a holiday 25 thing. So, yeah, man. Was one of my personal highlights because I like handheld gaming a lot. I truly do. And for them to have that now with a handheld that is a lot even more promising than anything we have so far on the market, with the Steam Deck and the already existing LE or the Lenovo's, simply because of that unification of the overlay and shutting Windows down in the background, is promising, and I really liked what I've seen. So, Dutch, let us start with the entire showcase. Let's talk about the games they've shown. They kicked off with Outer Worlds 2, coming October 29th. We finally got a release date. I mean, that's something we both knew was going to happen. The announcement of the release date, obviously, that wasn't a tough guess. However, I was surprised that they open up with Outer Worlds 2, because we already knew that there was going to be the developer direct for Outer Worlds 2 at the end of the showcase. So for them opening up with Outer Worlds 2, I was surprised about that. I don't know how you feel.
Yeah, same. I was a bit surprised that they opened up with it.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, they'll do a little teaser and then we'll get the big thing at the end of the show. And I kind of wish they'd just stuck to the trailer at the beginning now, because the extended showcase thing for it was just over the top.
It was.
I did not need to see all of that. I didn't. It really didn't need it.
Listen, I really like the way how Outer Worlds 2 looked. I loved the first one and really did enjoy it, and you can tell they've improved upon everything. They've improved on the weapon handling. They've improved on storytelling, world building. You have more and deeper conversation options. You have deeper character building. You have more beautiful visuals, new crazy weapons, everything. Very cool, looks good. We both said it when they announced that Outer Worlds 2 is going to be the direct after the Xbox showcase, that a game like Outer Worlds 2 doesn't need a dedicated 30-minute showcase.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was well put together. They tried to put in the humor and everything, but like you said, it felt a little over the top, and I didn't need to see as much from it. because
Yeah.
I'm sold already, right? And when you look back at the other developer directs in the last 2 years, the first being Starfield. Starfield is a new IP. It's a massive open world RPG. It needed a lot of explanation what you actually can do. Call of Duty last year also made kind of sense because everyone knew then, okay, this is Call of Duty is now belonging to Xbox. And with Outer Worlds 2, like you said, I would have been totally fine with the trailer. Maybe
Yeah.
do the trailer a minute or two longer and then good. That's enough to sell me on the game because the game looks fantastic anyway. And for them not opening with something else, like I don't know, you had down Call of Duty as the opening, right? I said maybe Elder Scrolls should open that. Something big, could have been Gears E-Day, could have been Perfect Dark, could have been State of Decay, could have been something really big that sets the mood for the show. But for them to choose not to open with such a big bang, but with a game where you knew, okay, I'm gonna get the real deal at the end of the show, 30 minutes long, was kind of strange. And I had a feeling right from the beginning, okay, if they don't have something big, new to open the show, what are we going to see? This was from the very beginning, I had that feeling, and we mentioned it at the beginning, for them not to show that many first-party titles. It was getting true. The second game was then High on Life 2, coming this winter, by the way. Dutch.
Yep. No, it looks fantastic. I wasn't expecting it. That was one of the ones I didn't expect to see.
Me neither.
Surprise, but it looks fantastic.
It has been 2 years now since High on Life, right? That was the 20.
It has. This one looks like it's had a bit of a fidelity boost compared to the first one looked good, but this one looks like it's significantly increased in its fidelity.
Yeah.
In its level of detail, and I mean that by kind of more of its surroundings. It look like there is more going on in the areas that you're exploring and fighting in and things like that. It just looks like there's more to it on this one than the previous one. So yeah, it looks fantastic. To be fair, it looks really good.
It looks, and I mean, the first one was a fun game. Absolutely. Still, we were opening the show. We were still at the opening, and I thought, man, High on Life, an indie game to have as in the very beginning of the show. What are they doing there?
Yeah,
it's not that I'm not excited for it, but it is kind of a weird way to open with Outer Worlds 2 that we've seen before, that we are getting a dedicated developer direct, and maybe you can do that just to tell everyone, hey, if you want to learn more about that game, stick till the very end. Okay,
yeah.
But then the second game needs to be with a bigger oomph. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And High on Life is a fun indie game, but it is not a game you set up the showcase with. That's just how I felt. The third game, then, though, was something we've learned about that it exists yesterday, and I did not expect it to be at the show. And that is a spin-off from A Plague's Tale called Resonance. The footage they've shown was in-engine. It's again like Plague Tale Requiem, a day one Game Pass drop, coming in 26. What did you think about that game, man?
Yeah, it looks fantastic. It would have been a better surprise if it didn't get dropped yesterday. Now, I don't know whether or not it was meant to get dropped yesterday or it got leaked early yesterday, so they had to drop it.
It meant to drop yesterday.
It was meant to drop. Well, then I think it kind of takes away from the surprise of seeing it on the Xbox showcase, because I think it would have been a much bigger reception to it had it been shown for the first time today.
I mean, it was yesterday. It was only announced with a 10-12 second teaser trailer.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
And the
That's
teaser
what-
trailer actually suggested to me, oh, this is going to be something like I don't know, a games as a service title, because in the teaser trailer you've seen an arena and multiple characters fighting, and I thought, oh no, are they going for something like a games as a service title route? So I was pleasantly surprised, and it was one of my personal highlights, to be honest. I really loved the Blake's Tale games. What Asobo did with the two was absolutely fantastic. The storytelling was awesome, beautiful visuals, fun combat mechanics. I really enjoyed the Blake's Tale games. This is a spin-off going way back in time. Looks beautiful. Has this, kind of a little bit Tomb Raider vibe, but 2,000 years ago.
I was kind of giving me more of an Assassin's Creed vibe.
I didn't get that at all. How come?
More of the sneaky, assassin-y kind of thing that I kind of see her doing.
But you had that in a Blake's Tale as well.
Yeah, but it felt more of a sneaky kind of thief, kind of Assassin's Creedy thiefy kind of game. It sort of felt like more combat, but a little bit more like sneaky. Assassin kind of combat.
Well, I mean, I didn't get Assassin's Creed vibes, honestly, just because there's stealth in it. Because it's way more linear experience. It's not an open world game and everything. But I do what you mean. Anyway, it looked fantastic. I like the setting. Going back to the ancient Roman times, with the Colosseum and gladiators and everything being in there. I can't wait for that game, man. 26 confirmed and coming Game Pass day 1, which is fantastic. I thought, by the way, in general, that was fantastic from Xbox, that they labeled everything really well. There was no confusion about which platforms are the games coming to, even for third-party games, not their own first-party stuff, but for third-party games, they put the PlayStation logo in there as well. They clearly labeled, is it Play Anywhere? Is it a Game Pass title? There was really no confusion. It was a very clear messaging after every game, which I really appreciate. So yeah, Resonance, a Blake Tale spin-off game. Looked fantastic. Man. Still can't believe that those guys made their own engine.
Yep, and it's still going strong.
It's going very strong. Absolutely. So after those 3 initial games, they directly jumped into the Asus handheld announcement. We already talked about that, Dutch, so I'd skip over that. And yes, we've talked about Silksong coming along with the LE. So we just need to find out when the LE comes out to know when Silksong will be there. Another highlight after that for me from the show was Blood of Dawnwalker, published by Bandai Namco. This is the game from some of the Witcher 3 developers that left from CD Projekt Red. They've announced that they are working on that game. We knew that it is called Blood of Dawnwalker, but we haven't seen anything from it yet. It's also going to be a Play Anywhere title, not in Game Pass though. But I thought that looked fantastic. That vampire setting, it's going to be an RPG at its best from the Witcher developers. What did you think, man?
Yeah, it was. More during the daylight than the nighttime, but more during the daylight, you could tell it was by Witcher developers. It looks fantastic. It looks fantastic. I'm intrigued to see more of it and to see, should we say, how the RPG system works in this game as well. But it did look fantastic. It looked very intriguing and very, excited to see more about this game.
Absolutely. I thought it looked fantastic. It was one of I didn't have that on my radar to be
at the show.
At the show, and actually for it to become a game I'm going to really anticipate. You know, it was always like one of these games where a handful of developers that worked on The Witcher formed the studio. Of course, you're interested, obviously, yeah. But then, it was more like, wait and see. But this was actually really a fantastic trailer. It piqued my interest. I want to see more. I want to see, of course, is it going to be an open world experience? What are the RPG elements and so on? But I also think it's not a new setting we haven't seen before, but it is a setting we have not that many good games in the last 10-15 years, I would say. There's only like a handful of really good vampire setting games that play in around the 19th 100th century, and it is something I really want to see more, and I thought it was definitely a surprise and something I'd like to learn more about. Anything you want to add?
No. Again, excited to learn more about it.
Yeah, true that. Super Meat Boy 3D.
Yes.
I immediately thought of you.
Yes. As soon as I saw that, I was like, wait a minute, that's Super Meat Boy. And it's 3D. I was like, we're getting a proper platformy, like Mario-esque Super Meat Boy here. And it just looked fantastic.
It did look fantastic.
It looked really, really good. I can't wait for that. That's going to be epic.
Did they mention? I forgot to put it down in my notes. Did they mention when it's going to come out?
I think they did. I might have to fast forward the stream a little bit here. Let's get past Dawnwalker.
Because they mentioned, I put down in my notes it's going to be a Game Pass title, but I probably...
It is. I'm going to have to run through the stream a bit here, but I might have to pick up with that in a bit. But
maybe someone in the chat knows.
Yes, it's a Game Pass title. It looks absolutely fantastic, by the way. This is the goriest platformer you will ever play. By far. And it's hilarious. Just how gory it is as well, by the way. And the amount of times he gets like decapitated whilst he's trying to run across a bridge or turned into absolute mush. It looks absolutely fantastic. I'm so glad they've went this direction as well, though, from being your standard 2D platformer to this big old 3D playing. Can't wait. It says early 2026.
Early 26, okay.
Game Pass, play anywhere.
All right. Yeah, play anywhere. Yeah, I mean, all Game Pass titles are play anywhere. But yeah, fantastic, man. Like you said, gory. I like that they put in the little Mario tease with the tubes.
Yes. Yeah, because like immediately people were like, what?
Yeah. Very, very hilarious. So yeah, Super Meat Boy 3D, definitely a surprise. Love me a good platformer, man. And like you said, it's great to have a gory one.
Yeah.
All right. What else did we have? Ninja Gaiden 4 got a new trailer.
Yes, this is 2 October games back to back.
Yes, October 21st.
Yeah. Right next to
Outer
Outer
Worlds.
Worlds.
Outer Worlds is 29th. Ninja Gaiden 21st.
Yep.
And Call of Duty. Did they mention a date for Call of Duty? Because
They didn't.
they didn't, right? I think
Nope.
they will
Didn't mention anything.
They didn't. Call of Duty was relatively underrepresented, given that it's Call of Duty, one of the biggest gaming IPs out there, right?
They didn't even say it was coming this year.
I mean, you know it's coming this year, and you know it's going to be somewhere in October. So,
is it?
Absolutely.
Is it?
You think that they skip Call of Duty in 25?
Possibly.
No.
They didn't say it was coming out in 25.
Yeah, they didn't, but everyone knows it's coming out in 25.
But they didn't put a date. They put a date on it last year when they released Call of Duty.
They did an entire developer direct last year for Call of Duty.
But they also did a trailer at the beginning of the show that gave the release date before they did the developer direct.
They did.
So
but yeah, of course, Call of Duty is coming this year, dude.
What if it doesn't?
Nah. They will. This would be crazy to not do it. It's literally leaving money on the table, even if it's a bad Call of Duty. And usually, I mean, last year's Call of Duty was received pretty well, right? And usually, after a well-received Call of Duty, they have one or two Call of Duties that are shit. And it's still, even the bad ones are still the best-selling games every year. So, of course, it is coming this year, man. There's no doubt about it.
But what if?
Anyway, we were talking about Ninja Gaiden 4, and you're right.
Yes.
October is crowded. So, your thoughts on Ninja Gaiden, man?
It looks fantastic. Obviously, it got its release date, which is why it was there, because we just known it was fall this year at the beginning of the year. If it wasn't for the fact that we needed a release date for it, there was no other reason for it to be there because we've seen it.
We've seen it before. I mean, you could still put it in there just to remind everyone.
For the release date.
Yeah. But yeah.
But it looks fantastic. Don't get me wrong. It looks fantastic. I'm looking forward to playing it. There was a couple of games in there that outstayed their welcome in terms of how long the trailers were. Ninja Gaiden wasn't one of them. There was another Japanese game that was in there for a very brief period that we'll get to.
We'll get to.
I'm glad it was very short. It was super short. I was like, thank God for that.
Absolutely.
But no. I'm glad it got a release date. October's getting crowded now. But yeah.
October getting crowded indeed, man. I'm with you. Ninja Gaiden looks fun, looks fast paced, looks like a modernized combat system. Because as good as Ninja Gaiden 2, the remake was that they shadow dropped in January, you could tell with some of the mechanics it was an older game. They still didn't fix the camera angle issues.
Yeah.
Combat didn't feel as modern as it should feel, and I think in Gaiden 4 they will or have addressed that. You could tell the dynamic camera and the combat system is way more modernized. So yeah, man, Ninja Gaiden 4 looking fantastic. And even though October is going to be crowded, Dutch, the good news is all those games are in Game Pass, right? Outer Worlds, Call of Duty, and of course Ninja Gaiden, which will save us some money to get the Ellie, man.
Yep. Thank God.
Thank
God for Game Pass.
Yes, true. Next up was the Indiana Jones DLC, The Order of the Giants, coming September 4th.
Yes. It looks like good DLC. I'm looking forward to playing it.
Same here, man.
I kind of forgot that we were getting DLC for Indiana Jones.
Didn't we talk about that last week during our prediction show?
I don't even know if we did, you know.
Let me check our list. We talked about it. We had it both in as a yes for the show. So at least we got that right, man.
Yep.
I
didn't think it would be Order of the Giants.
No.
But no, it looks cool. It looks cool. I'm
absolutely
intrigued to see what the how long this will be. Is it going to be like a 3-4 hour little expansion, or is it going to be a bit beefier?
My guess would be it's one new area. Remember the main game where they had these main areas, the Vatican and the pyramids of Egypt and the forest region and so on. It's gonna be one of those areas, and it's gonna be in that scope of one area. Would be my guess. But man, since Indy was my game of the year last year, and yours too, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to play more Indy, and I think September 4th is a good date before the crowded holiday season starts. To kick that off with an Indiana Jones DLC, Order of the Giants. Can't wait, man. That is fantastic. All right. Next up, we had Beast of Reincarnation. It's a Japanese game coming in 2026 with a female samurai kind of main character fighting along with a wolf.
Yeah.
Before I share my thoughts, what did you think about it?
Yeah, it looks cool. It looks cool. Kind of just hope it isn't a Soulsy game again.
Did you get the feeling, the vibe of it?
You just never know.
Yeah, these days.
The one thing I do want to point out here, though, is it's Game Freak, the creators of Pokemon.
Yep.
This is a hell of a step up from Pokemon.
That's true. That's true.
This is Game Freak flexing their muscles when they're not held back by Nintendo.
Yeah. That's true. But I must admit, it didn't do much for me. And maybe it's just the way how they've shown it, and maybe if we see proper continued gameplay, it'll do more for me. But as it stands now, I'm not 100% convinced. I feel like we are getting these kind of action hack and slashy Japanese games way too often these days. And for something to like that to stand out, it needs to do more than that. Maybe it was just the way how it was presented, and we didn't see proper gameplay, continued gameplay. There were only like segments and snippets in there. It didn't do too much for me. It's in Game Pass.
It is going on the Game Pass, though.
Yeah, it's in Game Pass. So no harm in trying it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Congrats to Game Freak for eventually getting away from Pokemon all of the time.
Absolutely. Since I'm not a Pokemon player, I'm finally playing a game of theirs, right?
Yes.
When it comes to Game Pass. So, all right, Dutch. The next game was my personal highlight of the show.
Age of Mythology? No.
Nope. Clockwork Revolution.
Yes, although one frustrating thing that I want to highlight immediately.
Yeah.
Still no release date.
Still no release date.
And still no release window.
It's not even that. It's coming in due time.
That frustrated me.
But there's a big but. It looks absolutely amazing, man.
It does.
It they've shown it 2 years ago, right? In 23 during their showcase. And I remember back then we both said, hey man, this looks pretty far along in development. And it already looked fun and cool, but it is a massive step up in quality. Not just in visuals, a lot more fidelity in there. It ran, the footage they've shown, we don't know whether it ran on PC or console, but it ran butter smooth. The original trailer 2 years ago had a lot of frame time issues. It looked butter smooth. It looked like a massive step up in visual fidelity. But other than visuals, man, this game looks absolutely awesome. From storytelling to humor to setting to gunplay to RPG elements, it's through and through like a real fantastic game. And I think this is going to be a gem, a true gem, because in Exile, with their previous games like Wasteland, they are beloved and they have their, rightfully so, they have their fan base. But I don't think that anyone would consider them as a AAA developer. But after that trailer, there is no doubt that they are going for a real, true AAA experience with Clockwork Revolution. It looks absolutely amazing. The mechanics with the time reversing thing is something that looks very promising. The story has me intrigued. I like the setting. I like when games don't take themselves too serious. And with humor in games, it is really hard to get that right, because it's oftentimes games try to be funny, but they really aren't. And then it becomes like really just annoying. But it looks, from what we've seen, and it was a pretty long trailer, right? It looks that they nailed that aspect through and through. And the shooting looked really good. I mean, let's be real, it's their first game that is a shooter-esque kind of game, and it looked like they nailed that aspect. The super detailed world, like, that invites you to explore it. You know that this game will feature heavy choices that you need to make, just as you would expect from a proper RPG, right? The production quality is through the roof. It's fantastic, man. I don't know what about you. I've been rambling on.
No, I think I completely agree with everything you've said. I like the weapon customization as well. I was just looking at that part again. When you modern your weapons, and it goes into like a sketch version of it first, and then when you've finished just deciding what part you want to put on, then it kind of adds all the level of detail into it, and then you see what it looks like.
Yeah,
and I think that looks fantastic the way they've done it. But yeah, the whole time travel thing, being able to go back and forwards in time, and the world in the future, the world in the past, and then reverse certain things on the map so that it kind of builds it back up again, or destroys it again, or slow your opponents down, or speed them up, or whatever you need to do. It looks absolutely fantastic. And after seeing it all, and which is why I'm so frustrated, it looks really good. It would have been game of the show, and it probably is game of the show.
It is game of the show.
They had a release date.
At least a release window. I mean,
yeah.
If they are not sure, don't get me wrong. I prefer that, because Xbox has, Fable last year. Yeah, it's coming in 25, and then delay it to 26, and you set these anticipations and expectations. And if you're not sure that you're going to meet a certain window, then don't put it out there. I think that's the better choice. But of course, naturally, seeing such a phenomenal trailer and such a phenomenal game, you want to know when to expect it. But I would say that's a 26 title, man. after seeing it
I
now.
think 27.
I don't think it's 27. 27 would be way too long from its initial reveal. They've been working on the game since 20.
But then, if that was the case, why didn't they just say 2026?
Because they might not be sure.
Which leads me to believe it's a 27 game.
Do you really think they would show it for the first time in 23 with gameplay and then release it 4 years later?
Yeah.
I don't think
I think
so.
if they're not confident enough to give a release window of next year, then that game is not releasing next year.
I could,
and I don't know. At this point, I also am struggling to see why, having seen what we've seen, why they're not confident that that game would hit next year.
Because I think this game is going to be way bigger than people think it is.
And hence, if that is the case, then 27. Which I'm not pleased about, but I think if they haven't given a release date now, then next year's we'll see a release window trailer, and it'll be some point in 27.
We shall see. We shall see, man. Anything you want to add to Clockwork Revolution before we move over to Grounded 2?
No, it's fantastic. I'm just a minor disappointment on its release window.
Yeah.
But I want to play it now.
You definitely, absolutely. After that trailer, everyone wants to play it now, right? But let them cook, man. Let them cook. We've got plenty of games to play until then. One of them being Grounded 2, coming on July 29th.
Yes.
In early access, though. We have to add that.
It was the same with the first one. Same with the first one.
Same with the first.
And I understand why, because with games as a service game like Grounded is, it releases that way so that they can continue to get feedback and add things that people want.
Yeah.
Refine things that people want. So, for instance, they're putting mounts in there for the first time, so you'll be able to ride spiders or ride ants. And each of them have a different thing. So the ants help you do the crafting and the base building, with spiders help with the combat. So there's that mechanic. And again, as they progress through early access on Grounded 2, you could see other mounts. You could see, for instance, a dung beetle, or you could see somebody requesting something else, and they could add these things to it. So for a game like that, it makes sense as to why it's going into early access, and very quickly. It's next month. And again, that's on everything, I think. So
yeah, it's on everything.
I did not. It was one of my unexpected titles for today. I did not expect Grounded 2.
I think nobody had that on their radar. That Obsidian is actually releasing a third game.
3 games this year.
This is crazy, and not small games. I mean, About was already a massive
3
game,
RPGs.
right? Yeah. Outer Worlds 2 is going to be a massive game, and the third now, even though in early access with Grounded, that is crazy. That just shows you how good of a well-oiled machine Obsidian is, right?
Yeah.
That is absolutely amazing to see that they can put out 3 games in a year and 3 quality games.
And I mean, there is some significant improvements on this one straight away. Of course, they've got different biomes.
Yes.
Now with like the ice creamy section that they've got going there.
Yeah. And I mean, I really enjoyed that they put Grounded 2 as well in the developer direct
post show.
Where they revealed that Eidos Montreal is helping with the development.
Yeah.
There. It sounded to me that the campaign is way better fledged out than.
The combat definitely is, because you've got like different classes. So you've got your stealth class, you've got your ranged, you've got your hand-to-hand combat guy, it's a proper classes for everybody now.
Yeah.
And they've got a little bit of more of a fleshed out RPG system in there now as well, where you can kind of add points to things and you can make improvements to weapon types. So, yeah, huge difference.
Absolutely. They said the world is going to be 3 times as big as in the first game.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Co-op is improved, of course. Yeah, it plays 2 years after the first game. It looked to me also that they are even putting more focus on the storytelling, because there was storytelling in the first game. Yes, there was a campaign and everything. However, that fell a little short. I mean it in the best way possible. It was a super small team for them to squeeze in a story at all in such a game, right? Was great, but it looks like they are focusing even more on that. And yeah, man, I had a blast with Grounded, so I'm looking forward to it. Usually I stay away from early access games, but I might give that a try this time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I enjoyed my time with Grounded. Granted, I didn't finish the story, but I enjoyed the time that I did play it. I wasn't expecting this at all. But again, fantastic. Congrats to them.
Yep, absolutely. 3 games in a year, man. Amazing. Next game was Chronos from Bloober.
Yes.
Sci-fi-esque horror game coming in fall this year. What do you think of that, man?
Yeah, it looks really, really cool. Looks really cool.
You think so? Because I thought it looked actually a little bit generic.
It kind of. It was more of a sci-fi horror game again, but again, I wasn't expecting it. I think it looked like it was well done.
It looked to me like a cheap Dead Space.
Kind of. Dead Space if it was based on a planet and not on a ship.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind that. As long as the story's good. It depends on how the story plays out.
Yeah. This is a strong maybe for me.
More it's
towards
not,
a probably
it's
not.
It's not a day one. Definitely not a day one.
See, the thing is, they didn't give it a date. They said fall 25, and if I look at the fall in 25, I gotta honestly ask myself the question: do I have time to put a game like that in there? That looked to me more like a mediocre game. I probably will not have the time for it. So, anyway, Elder Scrolls Online was next. New expansion. Told you up front, man. They have that in every showcase. It's gonna be there, as well as Fallout 76. Every year. Was the little break I needed. I was able to check my stuff online and then continue. But yeah, if you're not an Elder Scrolls Online player, it's not going to do anything for you to see that there. But good for everyone who enjoys it, more content, but not for me.
This was one of the ones that outstayed its welcome.
Yeah, true that.
It was literally like a DLC for, I don't even know, what was it, like pets or something?
Yep.
Like, it didn't need a trailer that long for pets.
Yeah. Then let's talk about the next game.
The Season of the Worm Cult.
They're probably running out of names, man. Anyway, the next
game. Yes.
From Don't Not.
Reminds me of a particular Dutch studio that had the unfortunate thing of having to let go of all of its staff last year because they didn't have the funding. and then they had to self-fund the expansion with just the 2 studio heads. We had them on the podcast. You know which ones I'm talking about? Deliver Us Mars, Deliver Us the Moon.
Mars. I'm blanking on the name of the studio right now.
Kyoken.
Yeah.
Yeah, reminded me of a higher budget Deliver Us the Moon game.
Philion. It looked okay.
Yeah.
It's one of those games I would probably not buy, but definitely would play through Game Pass. It looked like a calming, riddle-based adventures, space adventure.
Space adventure.
Yeah. So
it did look like at the end, though, that there is horror into it.
Maybe a little, yeah. Coming in 26. So
yeah.
We shall see.
I mean, I'm in. I think it looks like an intriguing space adventure. But I think that's what it is. I think it's an adventure, more of a story adventure.
Yeah.
Puzzles, climbing about.
Yeah.
Story based, not really combat-y.
Yeah. All right. Then there are no ghosts at the Grand.
Yes.
Indie game.
Yes.
You kind of need to repair a city, a hotel, and a city.
Yeah.
Didn't do anything.
It kind of looks like Luigi's Mansion if it was also
without the ghosts and the fun part.
Yeah, I mean, they've got the ghosts in as well. If you'd kind of seen parts of it, but I don't think they showed much of the ghosts in the trailer, which isn't good.
It literally says in the title, there are no ghosts at the Grand.
Yeah, but he was trying to hit one of them with a baseball bat and you ended up sucking it up in a vacuum like a Ghostbuster. So there's definitely like ghosty elements in it. And I think it would have been better if they showcased that section of it, because that would be like their version of a crafting/repair game mixed with Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah.
Which I think would have hit with people that aren't Nintendo fans.
Could see that, but what they've shown didn't do anything.
Also Game Pass, so...
Yeah, but I'd rather spend my time with something else, I think.
Hey, you never know.
Yeah,
you just never know.
Age of Mythology was next.
It was.
Expansion, the Heavenly Spear. Brings in China or Japanese kind of gods coming fall this year. I need to go back to Age of Mythology. I haven't played that in way too long, to be honest.
Boxy, we've done well to keep you off Age of Empires and Age of Mythology for a while.
Yes.
Let's keep that going whilst there's new games out.
I know. I'm more intrigued to go back to H4, though. I must admit.
Yeah.
Mudeng 2 Hearts was next.
Yes.
Japanese action game with kind of a military shooter zombie-ish and stuff kind of feel. It looked as a true surprise. We are getting way too many Japanese games that are showing these hentai manga kind of characters and then being hack and slashes, fast-paced hack and slashes. This looked very different. And
yes. More realism.
It's sci-fi. It's military shooter-ish kind of game combined with.
It was weird.
I don't know if it were zombies.
Kind of Resident Evil-y.
A bit Resident Evil.
It was like Resident Evil-y, like the initial outbreak, but if it was based in Japan.
Yes, something.
And if you had some kind of superpower.
Yeah. And I thought it actually looked really good. It's also a 26 game.
Yeah.
Beautiful visuals there. It looked really good. did. I didn't
This
catch
is the
whether
kind of
it's on
Japanese
Game
game
Pass
that I've
or
beaten.
not.
I'll
I
get to the
don't
end of the trailer and I'll let you know. But this is the kind of Japanese game that I'm into. Is ones that don't look like loads of schoolgirls
Yes,
or
exactly.
school kids.
Yeah,
Which
absolutely.
is why I've never ever played Persona or anything like
Yeah,
that because
me neither.
Nope.
I know I would probably enjoy the gameplay of Persona because I do like JRPGs, but
Yeah.
the look of these Japanese schoolgirlish looks with their big bubbly eyes, it's just not for me.
Nope.
No,
The closest I got to that over the last year was Visions of Mana. That was as close as I'm getting.
Yeah.
But no, this one, like you say, this one looked really. They've definitely went for more the realism
Absolutely.
with this one, but it looks super cool.
Yeah.
Like you're some kind of secret agent with some kind of power or something like that. It looks really cool. I dig it. No, not Game Pass, but it is Xbox Play Anywhere.
Play Anywhere. I think everything in that showcase was Play Anywhere.
I think everything was, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, man. I'm intrigued on Mudang. Planet of Lana.
Yes.
Hang on. I need to shout out
Lana
Sith Lord.
too.
I need to shout out Sith Lord though. He sends in a channel member chat for being a channel member for 34 months now, man. And he says the showcase was great, but I need more time to play. First of all, thank you so much for the continued support. And I feel you, man. We all need more time to play. That's the biggest problem in being a gamer in 25, 26, and so on.
Not enough time.
That's what I meant earlier. I don't have time to settle for mediocre games anymore. There was a time, like 10 years ago, I was totally fine with playing occasionally mediocre games. Now, I don't have the time anymore because there are.
Tell you what's not mediocre. Planet of Lana 2.
True. Planet of Lana 2. I didn't expect that because.
Nope.
Planet of Lana was 23, I think.
Yep.
Right? I mean, it's coming out next year, though. So it's a 3-year development cycle then. And Planet of Lana was a really good indie game. Beautiful visuals, fantastic riddles, great atmosphere.
Great story.
Yeah. Looking forward to that. Dutch, see, if you get an Ellie, this is a perfect Ellie game.
It's also a perfect Switch game.
Is it coming to the Switch, though?
Yeah, I think it's coming to everything.
But it's not Play Anywhere. See, that's the thing.
It is Play Anywhere. It's Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah, but not on the Switch.
No, it's not. It's literally on every platform, though. Steam, PlayStation, Nintendo, Xbox, PC, Xbox Series, Xbox Cloud, Xbox One, Xbox Play Anywhere, Xbox Game Pass.
Which is great, but it's only Play Anywhere if you are playing it in the Xbox ecosystem.
Yep.
That's what I mean, You play it on the big screen on your Xbox, then you pick up your Ellie and you continue and you go back, and that's it. I'm going to sell you on the Xbox Ellie, man.
You don't have to. I'll get one just next year.
Your FOMO will weigh.
No, that's a lot of money for FOMO. That's a lot of money for FOMO.
Told you. That's why I hold off with the Switch 2. The Switch 2 is something you can get easily next year. You're only missing out on Mario Kart this year. So you can...
I mean, it's a bit late. It's a bit late.
I know.
It's a bit late for this beautiful.
You show off. You should have thought. Listen to me. I said it. I told you that. Do it like I do. Hold off on the Switch 2. There's only Mario Kart this year. You're missing out. Get the Xbox Ellie. And then next year or the year after, when they release 3D Mario or the next Zelda.
But asterisks this year. I've added, thankfully, due to my great phone network, the Switch to my phone bill, so I don't have to pay for it in a big
See?
one-off.
So
But the alley,
you saved a lot
if
of
I did that with
money.
the alley,
You
it would add like
saved a lot
£50
of
per month.
money, and now you've extra income for the alley. We'll get you there,
Exactly.
man. We'll get you
Exactly.
there. All right, let's continue with the show. Fallout 76 was next.
Uh,
Fishing DLC, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, continue with the show. Solo leveling Arise was next. It's one of those Japanese hack and slash 4-player co-op games. Didn't do anything for me. Sorry.
Nope. Same.
Animo was next.
Also a new Pokemon game.
The Pokemon-ish game.
Except you turn into the Pokemon.
Yeah, you turn into the Pokemon, and I can tell you that the Nintendo lawyers are already filing up their lawsuits.
Yeah. They're going to be looking at all of the things, what they look like and how they look like and everything in between. But we know that Palworld has already changed the way that it summons or does not summon the pals now, where they just appear. You don't throw anything at them. So that's a bit... and on this one, at least you just turn into whatever you collect, though I don't know how you collect them.
I don't know. Dan Heffron in the chat brings up a great point. How do you have a co-op adventure called Solo Leveling?
Yep.
I don't know. Didn't do anything for me either. I think at that point that the show fell a little off. Animo, I'm not a Pokemon fan. Didn't do anything for me. So then was Tony Hawk.
I am a Pokemon fan. That didn't do anything for me.
Yeah, there you go. Then there was Tony Hawk 3 and 4. The launch trailer. A few statements from
the demo trailer
from the man himself, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, the demo is out today. I mean, you can never go wrong with Tony Hawk, right? So that's good, and I can't wait. July 11th. Big addict of Tony Hawk 1 and 2, so I'll be probably spending too much time in that game. But I do remember Tony Hawk 3 and 4 not being nearly as good as 1 and 2. So I do hope that the remake is going to turn out great.
Yep. Yeah, I hope it does. They've added a lot to it. Of course, they've got a lot of the old skaters back. They've got Bam Margera back in there. They've added Ninja Turtles into it. They've put new levels into it as well. So you've got new levels to play.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be good. And of course, it's going straight on the Game Pass. So not one I have to think about spending money on.
Yeah. More money you can save for the alley.
Yeah.
You go. Yeah. There you go. All right. Art Fate Ends. The creators of Spiritfarer.
That looked cool.
You thought?
Yeah, it looks really cool.
Good. Good for you.
What do you think?
I'm not really convinced. Spiritfarer. Not the biggest fan of that game. I mean, it was okay-ish, but there we are again at the point where do I have the time to settle for mediocrity? It's so maybe if I have really nothing else to play and I can't see a point in the future in the next 2 years where I will be at that point where I say, hey, I have not a great game that I really want to play and haven't played yet. But if that point in time should come, maybe. Gears 1 Remaster was next, coming August 26th. There will be open betas, or not open betas, but betas, for those who do pre-order it. What do you think of Gear 1, the remaster?
I already own the original, so I'll get the free update.
Yes, same here.
So,
I mean,
it is what it is.
It's also in Game Pass. Listen, I'm looking forward to play through Gears 1 again. It's one of my all-time favorites. I really do enjoy the Gears trilogy, the original trilogy. I'm still at this train of thought where I say, well, man, we already got a remaster or remake of Gears 1. I would have preferred 2 or 3 to be there.
Yeah.
Right? We already have the Gears 1 Ultimate Edition.
I can understand why they have done it, though, and it's more for PlayStation's benefit than ours.
Yes, and PC, and I get it. Is it coming to the Switch, did they say?
No.
No, it's not coming to the Switch.
Not yet, anyway.
Not yet, anyway. Yeah. So, yeah, man, I'm looking forward to play through one of my all-time favorites again. But, of course, it didn't set the world on fire for me. It looks fantastic, though. It is a fantastic game. So, Persona 4 Revival was next.
Yeah. Yes, I'm so glad this was a super short trailer.
Yes. I know people are super excited about the Persona IP and franchise, but like we said earlier, it's just the art style. I can't. It doesn't do anything for me. There's absolutely no interest in me playing that game. I love JRPGs. Give me an Octopath Traveler. Give me a Uden Chronicles. Give me all that good stuff. Final Fantasy, we'll get to that. You know, love those games. Persona, nah. Sea of Thieves was next. You're a big Sea of Thieves player, so...
I was. Yeah, I was. It's just another seasonal update. I haven't been on the game and I can't even remember when last. It's been a year or two. At least. Maybe
Really?
Longer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why'd you fell off? You were such a big Sea of Thieves player.
Yeah, I mean, I've already got legend status on the game, and when you've got to that point, everything after that becomes kind of mundane. I would say it's a fantastic game. It's really good fun when you've got a crew of friends and you're sailing about and you're having fun and you're laughing around and things like that. But unless you've got a consistent crew of people that you sail with, there's not much going on there, and it takes up quite a bit of your hard drive space. So, so yeah, it got uninstalled. Every now and again, I'll install it again and sail for a bit, and then turn it off again. But like I say, I got to legend status, so I've done what needed to be done on that. I've leveled up all of the big factions. I've done all the quests. And now they add more and more and more, and that's good for them. So there's probably going to be things that I haven't done when I go back into the game. And I think that's the best way to play Sea of Thieves. Play it in chunks, you get bored of it. Or not even bored, you just do what you need to do. There's going to be a substantial amount of time that you don't play the game, and then you go back to it after a while and catch up with all the additionals that they've added. And they've added some cool things onto it, so yeah, good for them.
Invincible vs. Invincible Versus was next from Quarter Up Studio.
Yeah,
it's an action comic fighter brawler kind of game.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be some form of actual action adventure, and then it turned into a fighting game, and then I just wasn't interested anymore.
Yeah, same here. Not a big.
And I think a lot of people thought the same.
Yeah.
There's a few people in my chat as well that were like, "Oh yes, Invincible," and then they saw it was a fighter, and they were like, "Oh."
And I mean, the thing is, that's also a genre where you have these landmark games. You have the Mortal Kombats and so on, and they all had their recent iterations. And I'm not sure if there's a market for such a game with such a art style. And yeah, didn't do much for me. Dutch. Then the big announcement of Final Fantasy came. Final Fantasy VII Remake. Finally coming to Xbox this winter. And Final Fantasy 16 actually available today. So
today, right now, right this second.
We said in the prediction show, we said if it's not going to be at this year's Xbox showcase, it's never going to come. And I'm glad it is. It was there and it is now coming.
Yep, we've only got 2 years to go until we get Rebirth.
Probably, yeah. So that's the thing about this. It's been so long. Final Fantasy VII Remake is now, I want to say 2019.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. I already played it twice on PlayStation. You've played it on PlayStation and PC, right? Are you still going to get it though?
Yes.
Yeah, because you're a collector.
Yep.
I mean, it's on the other hand, it's been so long since I've played the remake, right? I could do another playthrough, and then this time on Xbox. So for me, it really depends on price. As a full price title, I'm not going to get it again.
I don't think Final Fantasy VII is. I know 16 is because it's the full DLC, all the DLCs. So I think that's like 70 quid or something, 60, 70 quid. But that's got DLC with it as well for 16. 7 integrate, I think that'll be 50.
Then it's a maybe for me. It's,
I
mean,
it's
if
an older
I feel
game.
the itch to
The
play
DLC
it again,
that came with integrate was like next to nothing. It was like Yuffie's expansion.
Yeah, that was like next to nothing. Don't get me wrong, I really do enjoy the Final Fantasy VII Remake. I really do. I think it is one of the best Final Fantasies out there, period. The remake is fantastic. Loved it. But I already do own it. Played it. And same goes for 16. I really enjoyed 16. The story in Final Fantasy 16 was fantastic. But I only played that a year ago or so. Like 1.5 years ago. So yeah, it's great that it's on Xbox. They shouldn't have been exclusive for PlayStation or PC respectively for so long. They shouldn't have. But now I do own them. They are, especially Final Fantasy VII Remake is quote unquote an old game. You know what I mean? That I already do own. So I'm not sure if I'm going to get it again. And then Heifer in the chat.
I'll get Remake and I'll get 16.
Yeah, you are a collector. You own every Final Fantasy on every platform. See, you could save that money and just get an Ellie. Then you can play it on the Ellie because you do already own it there. Just saying. Saying. Then
I mean, I'm getting nothing this month, but next month I'll get 16, and obviously whenever 7 Remake integrate drops in the winter, whatever that is, I'll pick that up.
Yeah.
I'm surprised 16 isn't going to Switch though.
Why do you think that is? Is it still power?
I don't. Nah, I don't think it's. The Switch is clearly powerful enough to do remake integrate. And it's not too much of a difference. Like this is 16's a significant. Like they're both linear.
They're both linear with pretty big open areas. 16 is heavily focusing on particle effects and so on, even more so than remake. I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure. I mean, it's already on
if we can
PC, right?
my thing will always be if CDPR can get Cyberpunk to run on the Switch, then Final Fantasy 16 can run on the Switch.
Not every developer is as skilled as CDPR.
You would hope Square Enix should be by now.
By the way, Cyberpunk runs even more beautiful than on the Switch 2 on the Alley. I'm just saying.
I know,
And you do
but it
already
does
own
look
it there.
fantastic on the Switch too. It does look fantastic on the Switch too, though.
Yeah. Everything looks great on smaller screens. But if you play Cyberpunk on, I do have the Alley, the original Alley, and it runs.
I did test Witcher 3 out on the Switch too.
How did it look?
It looked great because I was able to turn off a lot of the dodgy settings that try to make it look great, like chromatic aberration and motion blur. And
But you can do that on the original Switch too.
Yeah, but it looks terrible and it runs like crap. It doesn't on this one. The performance is significantly better. It looks better.
Man, after the Witcher 4 reveal, I booted up Witcher 3 again. The itch got me, and I've played a shitload on the Alley now. It looks fantastic on high settings with ray tracing, running at consistent 55 to 60 FPS, which do look phenomenal with VRR on the 120 Hz screen. That's the way how you play it on a handheld, man.
Yeah. Yeah. But
anyway,
that said, yeah, I think Switch 2 could easily run 16.
Yeah,
so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know either. Yeah. Dan Heffron in the chat asks, as someone who loves Claire obscure Western turn-based RPGs and Souls styles, but doesn't like most JRPGs, what would more likely be for me, Final Fantasy 16 or the remake? It's a
neither. Neither.
None of them are Souls-like. None of them are turn-based.
None of them are the ATB turn-based, which is what we.
I mean,
it's a reason why
probably remake. Remake has the ATB system mixed into the real-time combat.
Kind of,
yeah. More than
but
Final
at the
Fantasy
same time,
16.
still no. There's a reason why we all were like, "Oh, Claire Obscura is doing something that we didn't think AAA devs would do, and they're bringing back the actual active time battle turn-based RPG that you've seen in old school Final Fantasy or Pokemon or stuff like that, where you kind of your turn, their turn, your turn, their turn, your turn, their turn, that kind of backwards and forwards. But they've added a little spice to it, which is kind of being active within it to do your blocking or doing extra damages or stuff like that. None of them are really directly like it because they're both 7 Remake and 16 are more action RPGs now, where you're kind of doing all of the attacks yourself, and there's no real to and fro.
I would go with Final Fantasy VII Remake, though.
Yeah, but Rebirth goes more to the 16.
Yeah, agree. So, okay, Dutch, next up. the reveal of the next Double Fine game.
Yes, very intriguing.
Keeper. Yeah. It's very colorful, beautiful art style. With a walking lighthouse as a character. You're playing a walking lighthouse. Right?
Yes. Yep. It's a game I've read a little bit about it afterwards. It is a game without words. So it is all visual storytelling.
Oh, that sounds intriguing. I mean,
it's a puzzle game.
Yes. But I gotta be completely honest here. If that game would have been shown off like that, and it didn't have the name Double Fine to it, I would be less intrigued.
Yep. 100%.
I would just assume it's a beautiful art style for an indie studio, and that's it. It's not like I can honestly say I'm like super excited. This is going to be it. But Double Fine usually doesn't disappoint. So I give them the benefit of a doubt that this is going to be a real fun game, something unique, what you would expect from a Double Fine game, right?
Yeah.
But it's also not like I'm super crazy about it.
Yeah, same. But we have the glory of Game Pass to try this game out.
Absolutely.
And with it being more of an action-y, well, not even an action adventure, just a puzzle adventure game, a storytelling kind of game. I mean, I'll play all the way through it.
Absolutely.
Bound to be a beautiful game, and you don't have to worry about fighting enemies or anything like that. And it's more just about the mystery.
More a calming game.
Chill and it's coming out this year.
Yes, October 17th. Another October game, man. October is
and it's also just Xbox and PC.
Yep, it is. It is. But now we have like Keeper on October 17th, right?
Yeah.
Then we have Outer Worlds 2 on October 29th. We have Ninja Gaiden at October 21st, and Call of Duty is probably also going to be an October game. Or early November, putting it in the same like 2-3 weeks. This is going to be a crazy time period for Game Pass, right?
Yeah. Busy.
Absolutely. So yeah, man. Looking forward to learn more about that game. It has a beautiful visual art style, like very colorful, very unique setting. Looks great. Then Phil Spencer came on stage and did the usual blah blah, and then Phil dropped something, Dutch.
Yep.
We all know next year is the 25th anniversary of Xbox, and he mentioned that gamers will be able to celebrate that with Gears E-Day, Fable. We already knew that this is a 26th title, right? A new Forza. He didn't mention.
You would imagine that's Horizon.
I'd assume so. Since
I would hope so.
I would also hope so. Agree. But I wouldn't rule out Motorsport. I mean, 26.
I hope not.
3 years since Motorsport 7.
But it's been what, 4 or 5 years since Horizon?
26. When was Horizon? Was 21. So it's 5 years for Horizon. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas it's been 2 years since Motorsport.
It's been this year 2 years. Motorsport was 23. 26 would make it 3 years. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I hope it's Horizon. I don't want a new Motorsport yet.
Yeah. And he also teased a classic that's been there from the beginning.
Halo CE remastered.
Most likely, because I doubt it's going to be a new Halo. Right?
Yeah, I don't think it will. I don't think the new Halo's ready yet. I think it'll be the remake of Halo 1 or CE.
Hmm. I mean, this is the most likely
Yeah.
scenario that he was referring to that, right?
Yeah.
Then I would also want to suggest that Perfect Dark has also been there from the beginning.
Mm, yeah. But Halo launched the console.
I
So that makes
agree.
more sense.
I agree because it Perfect Dark isn't an IP
Isn't the
anyone
staple
should.
franchise to that point.
Yes, and they wouldn't like attach the Perfect Dark to Xbox, right? Since it's originally launched on the N64 as an exclusive there, it kind of makes sense that it's Halo. Just wanted to
Yeah.
put it out there for the sake of argument. So yeah, I'd assume also that it's the long rumored Halo Combat Evolved remake, another remake. And I'm saying that with a slightly negative undertone because first of all, I always thought the Combat Evolved remake of the remake is one of those rumors that are out there that like the Gears collection, which is probably never going to come, right? But we have had it for years out there that it's a thing. So yeah. Would I like to have Halo Combat Evolved remade in Unreal Engine 5, looking drop that gorgeous? I'd play that in a heartbeat, obviously. But actually, what I really would like is just a proper new Halo. Infinite, it has been a 21 game, right? Making it a 26 game is 5 years, which is for me an okay time frame in between two Halo games. So I'd rather have that. But definitely, he teased something. We know now Gears E Day is a 26th title. We know Fable. We already knew that. We know that we are getting a new Forza and most likely a Halo. Something Halo. Which kind of makes sense. Those are the four stable IPs from Xbox, right? Gears, Forza, Halo, and Fable. They took a break from Fable for a long time, but it is one of those were back in the days their powerhouse IPs, and it would make sense for them to celebrate the 25th anniversary with those stable IPs. Interesting enough, though, none of them have been at the showcase, right?
Yeah. Which means developer direct in January.
Yeah, we knew that Fable is going
Forza won't be announced until June,
yeah.
as will Halo.
Yes, both Halo and Fable and probably Gears then will be at the developer direct in January.
Yeah, Fable and Gears are developer direct, and some bonus games that we're not aware of.
Yes. I mean, I still wonder where is Perfect Dark. We have seen a pretty lengthy gameplay segment last year.
We did, but they
Right?
did.
It was
But he
7,
finished.
8
He
minutes
finished off.
continued gameplay.
Yeah, but he finished off last year. He finished off with the sentence, "Still in development, and as it progresses, we'll talk about it a little bit more." So I've got a feeling that's a little way off yet.
Yeah, but since they have shown continued gameplay, and this is usually not done with games that are so far off. It's Fable got shown in 2022, I want to say, for the first time. Was it 23? where they said, well, there was gameplay in there, but you could know this is an edited thing, an in-engine edited thing.
Yeah.
You do something with like that with games that are 2 years, 3 years out. Uninterrupted gameplay for 5, 6, 7 minutes is usually not shown with games that are 3 years out. So I would still place Perfect Dark as a 26 title. And I wonder why it
27.
hasn't been at the showcase, honestly.
27. Along with Clockwork Revolution, along with State of Decay, and
Yeah,
Everwild is still
State of Decay is also a very big
imaginary.
surprise that it wasn't there. Honestly, after them
It was
teasing...
Everwild after they said they'd be talking about the game this year.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and State of Decay has been
Make believe.
teasing heavily a couple of days ago with cryptic screenshots being posted on the official channels and so on. And then it's a no-show. I mean, 27 is most likely the start of next gen, and you want to keep a couple of bangers for 27, right? A Perfect Dark, State of Decay,
New Halo.
I'm not sure if State of Decay will be considered.
Yeah, New Halo will be though.
New Halo will be though, yeah. But yeah, again, 24. They've shown 6-7 minutes of continued gameplay, and then they release it in 27, 3 years later. It doesn't sound realistic to me, man. Anyway, Black Ops 7 rounded the show off. Dutch Call of Duty. It was the one more thing.
Yeah.
And when the trailer started, I thought, oh, that could be something cool, interesting. They had the guy, I can't remember the actor's name. I know him from, my wife forced me to watch Gilmore Girls, and he was Chess in Gilmore Girls. Anyway, that guy in there, it looked like, oh, what's that? Super interesting. And then it's just Call of Duty, right? Without a date, without any, hey, we've got more to show in a dedicated stream in like 4 weeks or whatnot. It was just your standard announcement for Call of Duty then. That ended the show. Yeah.
Yep.
I
was it kind of pulled a fast one because it started off looking like a new horror, which everyone was thinking, oh, is this the Kojima game?
Yeah, no. I thought the same thing. I thought about, ooh, that could be Kojima.
Yeah. No, it was not.
It was Call of Duty.
It was Call of Duty.
Obviously, we could have known that it was Call of Duty because Call of Duty wasn't at the show the entire time, but at the moment, I didn't think of that when I've seen it. But yeah, so Call of Duty finished up the show, Black Ops 7. Yeah, it's going to be another Call of Duty. Yeah, those who will enjoy Call of Duty are going to play it. Those who don't will not play it. So there's really not much to talk about Call of Duty. But that ended the show. And then they dived straight into the developer direct with Outer Worlds 2 and Grounded 2. And we've already talked about those two games. So Dutch, I want to bring up the point again. Dan Heffron in the chat also says he thinks Everwild will not see the light of day. Like you said, they said we will see Everwild this year. They literally posted that a few days before New Year's, right? State of Decay posted last week a bunch of cryptic screenshots on their Facebook pages and so on. It wasn't there. Contraband, no show, not even a mention.
Yeah.
Fable, Gears E-Day, and Forza at least got mentioned as as a 26 title. We just talked about Perfect Dark, wasn't there? State of Decay 3 is one of my most anticipated Xbox games. It's a no-show after them showing it off in a great way last year, right? No Elder Scrolls 6, no ZeniMax Online game, nothing about the new Starfield DLC. Machine Games, we both had that as a no. A couple of people have been speculating, will we see Wolfenstein? But with them just releasing Indiana Jones, we were on the same page that this might not be there. So yeah, outside of Clockwork Revolution, they didn't show any of the heavyweight first party stuff, right?
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
No idea. They think we've already got a lot coming up, so we're not really in a requirement to keep showing things all the time. Although a nice update on these longer ones like Contraband or Everwild or State of Decay would have been
State of
favorable.
Decay at least was there last year, but Contraband
It
and
was,
Everwild has been shown in 2019, right?
Yeah,
it's like 6
exactly.
years ago.
But even Forza Horizon, though, to me, even Forza Horizon still is just very weird.
Yeah,
this is like the longest we've been without a Forza Horizon.
By far.
And I get they've just launched it on PlayStation 5, but that's kind of irrelevant.
Yes, I agree. And if it's not, I mean, Forza, they usually show that off in the showcase in June and then release it 3 months later. But, and since it's not a 26 game, I could see, okay, but that not everything is in there. Blade was also not in there. We talked about that. We had it both down as a yes in our prediction show. Yeah. None of the heavyweights is kind of weird. I mean, I get that the fact that this year is super stacked for Xbox. I mean, just look at the first half of the year when they shadow dropped Ninja Gaiden 2. Granted, not a first party game, but then they had Avowed, South of Midnight, right? They just released Doom. They shadow dropped Oblivion, and so on. And then you look at the second half now with Keeper coming and with Outer Worlds 2 coming and Call of Duty coming, and it's a very full 25.
Yeah.
I could see that they had the line of thinking, hey, do we really need to show off Perfect Dark again and remind everyone of how great it looks? Or Fable. We've shown off Fable 3 consecutive years in 22, 23, and 24. Yeah, the next time we show it at the Developer Direct in January and then release it 3 months later or so. Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to show Gears E-Day again without gameplay and then just get destroyed online if it doesn't look as good as we've shown it in 25.
Yeah.
Same goes for State of Decay 3. Yeah. Do we need to show that if it's not a 26 title? Everwild. Who knows if that game will ever see the light of day, right?
Yeah.
Elder Scrolls 6 is probably just not ready to be shown. Blade also. Yeah. We have a great 25. Let's not show anything. And next year we announce the next gen console. We celebrate with Fable and Gears and Halo and Forza the 25th anniversary, and then announce the next gen. And then we show off all those games running on next gen hardware. Yeah,
Yeah.
I could see that train of thought.
Yep. I'm saving everything for the anniversary year.
So yeah, to round things up about this Xbox showcase, it wasn't a bad showcase per se, but when you
Yeah, it was
tune
average.
exactly when you tune into an Xbox showcase after showcases like they had in 23 and 24, where they simply brought the heavyweights to the table and surprised us with a bunch of good stuff and some amazing looking games. This one feels a little underwhelming. Not to say that there weren't great games, but the really good games in this showcase, outside of Outer Worlds 2 and Clockwork. Clockwork was the one that really stood out in this because we've seen Outer Worlds so many times and it comes out in October, right? In 4 months. Other than that, the really good stuff wasn't from Xbox first party. Resonance, Blood of Dawn, Walker, those kind of games, they were not first party. And from first party perspective, it was a little underwhelming with it being Clockwork and Keeper, right? So not a bad showcase, but also not like one for the ages. Definitely not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've had a poll running in the chat the entire podcast. How would you rate the Xbox showcase? Only 5% voted a 10 out of 10, 30% said 9 out of 10, and 38% said 8 out of 10, and 27 said it's a 7 or lower. I'm gonna just close the poll now in the chat, but where would you rate this show?
Probably in the 7-ish mark. If I was grading it A to, the alphabet grading, it would be a C. It was okay. The only, as I mentioned before, it's when you have super strong shows like you did last year and the year before, and even the year before that, which was pretty strong. They set themselves a really high bar to achieve.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can't do it every year because you're going to run out of stuff to show eventually. But the problem with Microsoft is that we know we know for a fact they've got other games that they could have shown and they didn't update us on.
Yeah.
So it kind of just left a little bit of a sour taste in people's mouths, I think, because everyone's like, well, what's going on with the Halo? What's going on with Forza? What's going on with Everwild? What's going on with State of Decay? What's going on with Contraband? What's going on with... There's so many what's going on with where they've been going on for so long.
Yeah.
I'm glad we eventually seen Double Fine's game to see what they're working on, whether or not that's just one of their little projects. And they've got something else going at the same time, or whether or not that's their main project, we don't know. We didn't see ZeniMax Online's new game. So there's so many. There's at least 10 to a dozen games that we're kind of waiting on updates for.
Yeah.
So
Project Mara from Ninja
Yeah,
Theory.
exactly. You can't win every year. You can't. That said, it was still the better of the shows this year, and that's not saying much.
Yeah. I mean, after the State of Play and arguably even Summer Games Fest, they didn't set the bar really high. Yeah. So in terms of winning, it was probably still the best show. But overall, it felt a little underwhelming compared to the last years. And if they would have just given us 2 or 3 updates on their more heavyweight kind of games, other than Clockwork, it would have
I agree.
made a very different impression. Yeah. So I'm similar with you. I would also rate it probably somewhere in between a 7 and an 8. somewhere in that ballpark. There were good games shown that I'm looking forward to. Of course, obviously,
I'm
Outer
looking forward
Worlds.
to the I'm looking forward to the vast majority. There's a few that I'm not bothered about, but they're all great games. Don't get us wrong, and each one of them has an audience. But there was nothing. There was only one or two that would set the world on fire. Clockwork being one of them.
Yeah.
Um,
And you kind of
but
watch these showcases with the expectation that there are like a handful games where you just say, wow, that's the
yeah,
big banger we are looking forward to. And other than Clockwork, from a first party perspective, there was nothing in there that did set exactly that expectation. So, yeah, Dutch. The handheld was great though.
yes.
So,
It was more, you know what it is? It isn't specifically the handheld as it is the looking to see how they're implementing the UI.
true that. True that. That is really the interesting thing. And I expect totally to learn a lot more about the handheld, the overlay, as well as a lot of those games in the next few days.
Yeah.
Usually they have the Xbox Extended Showcase. They decided not to do that, but they already said that they will post certain podcasts on the official channel to give us a bit more insight in some of the stuff shown and not shown. And so I expect totally to learn more about everything in the next few days, when also some of the media sites will do their yearly interviews with Phil and Sarah and everything. So we'll probably get a lot of more updates, and that's why I'm looking forward to our next regular podcast this Thursday, because then we will be able to
We'll have
talk
some
about
updates then, yeah.
all the aftermath. Exactly. All right, Dutch, that brings us to an end. Anything you want to say about the showcase to close out the show?
No, I think we've covered it quite well, to be fair.
Yeah.
Like I say, it was pretty average. I would say going into this showcase, though, for strangely enough, I didn't have the biggest of expectations. I wasn't as hyped this year as I was last, and I don't know why that is. And having come out of watching this showcase, I'm in exactly the same position. I'm like, okay, that was cool. But I'm still not like ultra hyped for what I've seen.
Yeah. I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. Probably in a similar position. Don't know whether it's all the games that we have been able to play this year
Spoiled with,
already.
yeah.
That whilst playing tons of great first party games from Xbox, yeah, like just recently, the other day, I finished Doom. Yesterday, 2 days ago, I finished Doom Eternal, Doom the Dark Ages. I mean,
Yeah.
and so on. And maybe since during last year's pre-showcase season, we didn't have that many first-party games to play. Maybe you were just more excited. So, I want to see what I can play next. Yeah. Now we are in this position. We're getting so many games, and maybe that's why you're not so hyped for showcase. I don't know what it is. I feel the same. I feel the same. It's still a good show, though. Gaming is in a great place, no doubt.
Yep.
This year is amazing for video games. And we've seen tons of stuff. October is gonna be a crazy month, with Outer Worlds and Ninja Gaiden and Keeper and so on. So yeah, it was fun watching. Still would have preferred to have 2 or 3 more heavyweights from the first party studios in there.
100%. 100%.
All right, Dutch. With that, let's round this show up. I want to say a big thank you to everyone who tuned in here today. We really appreciate you guys hanging out with us and discussing the Xbox Showcase with us, because we know that there are a lot of parallel programs running right now that you could have also joined. But the fact that you decided to tune in here means truly a lot. So thank you for that. We will be back this Thursday again, covering all the aftermath and everything that we will find out about all the stuff announced. Dutch, before we let everyone out, let everyone know where they can find you, man.
Yes, you can find me over on Wondering Dutch or Wondering Dutch X on Twitter. I'm not as active on Twitter these days, to be fair. But you can find me here. Of course, I did cover the live stream of the Xbox Showcase and then straight into the post show with Boxy. Still in the same place, haven't stopped. So it's been a 4-hour something stream. And again, we'll be back on Thursday for a dual podcast again, Midweek Mix-Up and the World of Gaming, to cover all of the aftermath. So we'll catch up on all the different videos and vlogs and things that we've seen about the games or the handheld, etc. See what else we learn, and then we can go from there and tell you a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly. So thanks, guys, again for tuning in. It's been a blast as always. Like we said, we'll be back this Thursday. Until then, I'm probably going to rewatch the show case one more, at least the highlights. And then, of course, play some games. Hope you do enjoy your week. We'll see you on Thursday, and don't forget to game on.